you so much. Today, 9/12, day after 9/11. So I want to mention that because it was huge, was it not? It was huge. We've had many huge things go on in our lives. Disasters of all kinds. But I want to mention what was written by a man who is the founder of the New York Say Thank You. And this is what he said. When we lend a hand to one another, nothing is impossible. We're not about what happened on 9/11. We're about what happened on 9/12 and forward. I love that. I love that idea because we can get caught. We can get caught in the awfulness. We can get caught in the horror of something. We can get caught in the loss and the pain of something. But what we must do is acknowledge what it is we're feeling and recognize that we have the power together to move forward, to transcend anything that we are experiencing. But I want to also share a story with you that was written about the power of kindness. It was a kindness that was experienced by the people that were on Delta Flight 15 on 9/11. They were crossing the Atlantic, and they landed in Gander, Newfoundland. And there were over 53 flights that were actually planes that were there, that landed there. And of them, 27 were American commercial flights, right? So this day, they landed in Gander, Newfoundland, a town of 10,400 people. When the 53 planes had landed, there were 10,500 passengers and crew there, right? So Gander and the surrounding communities, those communities that were in a 75-kilometer radius, then closed their high schools and their meeting halls and their lodges and their gathering places. They closed them all down so that they could convert them into places where people could stay. They had all the high school students, including the schools. Had all the high school students come as if they were coming to school, and what they did was volunteer. They volunteered to care for the people, to take them to places where they need to go, to help them find what they needed. All of these 10,500 people were given a place to stay. There was one pregnant woman on this particular flight on Delta 15, Flight 15, and she was 33 weeks pregnant. They made sure she was in a private home that was right across the street from a medical health place, right? So the elderly were taken care of. If there were single women who did not want to be in a place where there were, the co-ed, they got to go where they needed to go. Everyone was taken care of in every way possible by this town and the surrounding areas. Everyone was housed. They were given coins so they could go to the laundromat, the local laundromat, because they couldn't take their clothes off the plane, right? They just had what they had. They were taken to restaurants of their choice or fed in homes if that's what they choose. People, every single person was taken care of by what? By an act of kindness and generosity of heart, by stepping out of the comfort zone. Can you imagine if there were the same number of people to show up here in our town that we have a population of? I can't imagine it, but I can imagine that we would step forward. I can imagine that we would come together, because that's what we've evolved to. That's where we've evolved from, is doing it separately. But we look now, there's a bigger picture. With all the technology we have, we know what's going on here. We know what's going on in this United States. We know what's going on in our world. So we can't be ignorant of what is needed unless we choose to be unresponsive. This was an incredible response. that took place 20 years ago. And do I think it was extraordinary? Yes, but we are extraordinary people, and we live in extraordinary times, and we have extraordinary ability to meet that which is in front of us. So that's what we're doing today. Each one of us, we're meeting what is in front of us today. We're looking at it, not being overwhelmed, but we're able to move into that place we need to be. We're able to transcend what has been in front of us and what is in front of us. And that to me just means that we take whatever we've had, move it forward into what it is we want. So take the good stuff with you. Take the good stuff. But don't limit it to what the good has been that you've given and shared and received and recognized. Let the good be something that's absolutely evolving and that you're experiencing at all times. Let it continue to evolve. Let it continue to evolve. So today I want to talk about transcendence and inclusion, including a group of people that was larger than the population of their town, including them not just into their area, into their homes, at their table, in their shops. They also they had a good time too, the people that were there. By the way, the flight attendant said that when she was called up front and told of what was going on while they were still in the air, the decision was made this quickly to lie to the passengers. Now, why is that a good thing? It kept them calm. They were told it was a malfunction of the plane, the little mechanical thing they'd have to land. Well, of course, when they're pulling into that landing space and they see 52 other planes, they know it's beyond that. But that's what they did. They were told it was a malfunction with the plane, and then they landed and experienced what they did. They did have to stay on the plane for one full day, or from the time they landed until the next morning at 11 o'clock. But here's what happened after that, and they got settled. They were taken for hikes or walks or rides or just, they were treated like people on vacation. They were treated like guests. And we're all a guest in our Father's house. And so when you come to my door, if you happen to do that, I live at 728, no, just kidding. But if you happen to come to my home, I will quit hiding behind my curtain, my shade that is a blackout shade. You can't tell I'm there. And I will open the door because I know now that the guest coming to my home is Spirit, the Christ of you is coming. Yes, that's what we get to do. We get to transcend everything that we might have walked in here with today, including our attitudes that could use a little lifting, or any kind of ism we might have carried in here today. And you know what? We had all those things for a reason. There was something that we experienced that brought it out in us because it had already been planted there. At our ages, we aren't coming into anything new that we react to. What we respond to can be new, but what we're coming into that we react to has already been planted in us. It's from that, the way, the atmosphere we have lived in up until now. Okay? So then when we move into this space of being able to choose a new way, letting go of my prejudices, letting go of some judgments, maybe letting go of some disappointments, when we allow ourselves just a little bit more room to let go of those things, then we can transcend them. Because once we let go of them, in order to have them continue with us, we have to pick them up again. Well, how about stepping over them? That's what transcending is to me. It's stepping over it. It's not picking it back up. Or if I'm going to pick it up, let's be tender with it, Let's be tender with that old prejudice or that old anger or that old judgment. Let's just be tender with it, because when you're tender with it, you can lay it back down. when it doesn't have all that energy around us, when we're not grabbing it and saying, I need you, I need to keep this going, then we can lay it gently down. And that's what we're called to do, so that we can transcend things, so that we can get beyond. And when we get beyond, we can also include all those things that we've excluded before. Maybe the people we didn't think were worthy of our time, attention, our love, our money, whatever it was. Maybe we can include them, possibly not in our homes, but in our hearts. Where else would we need to include them? We need to include them in our hearts. We're called to transcend our old paradigms of being and including only those elements of that are life-supporting and serve the evolution of our consciousness. It is our consciousness that we live from. It is our consciousness that we are co-creators with the universe and bring about that which we're experiencing in our lives, much of what we experience in our lives, because we react and we respond to everything that's in front of us. So we want to be able to transcend what's in front of us, and there's a couple of things we can do that really move us there. But first I want to talk about the word religion. We're asked sometimes, are you a religious organization? I absolutely never say yes or no, because I don't know what they want to hear. So I never say yes or no, but what I say is a different statement about we believe what we believe, and that invariably answers the question they ask. But I want to bring up the idea of the highest concept of true religion is the unity of good. The unity of good. If you grew up in a religion that has a name for you, and you feel that it had a unity of good in it, isn't that what religion is all about? Isn't it about us finding our higher self, our expression of our self-divine, that we may share the good? Isn't a religion about a way of being and a way of thinking that we want not only good for ourselves, but I want the very same good for each one of you? Because I know through this experience, this spiritual experience, of the connection of all. It isn't just knowing it up here, it's knowing it from here. This is stuff we gather, and this is where we practice it from. We need both, but we can't just live from the intellect. So the highest concept of true religion is the unity of good, and that God is one, and that God is ever present, always giving of itself, only goodness to everyone, everywhere, all the time, in the way that we are able to say, this is my God, this is my good, this is my life, and I'm expressing as such, and I am experiencing this. We know our God through the way we know ourself and our connection to God. I wish I would have followed this. But I didn't. So one of the things we practice besides kindness is forgiveness, letting go, allowing ourselves to heal, allowing ourselves that spiritual weight loss. That's what forgiveness is. It's spiritual weight loss. I'm going to coin that. No. Yeah, it's about taking it off and letting it go. It's not about, and it takes for some of us, the same amount of effort as a physical diet does. I'm going to forgive my old friend, my former friend, right? Not old. Former friend. But I have all these reasons why I shouldn't. And besides, after I go through all the reasons and all the things that this person did that I didn't like and didn't fit for me, why should I forgive them anyway? Because I'm still thinking about them, because I'm still feeling something when I do think about them, because I'm still disappointed, because if I ran into him or her today, I would have some kind of reaction that wouldn't be the God self saying, oh, beloved, you're here. I'm so glad to see you, in my mind. That's how I know when I have forgiveness work to do. And that's how I know, that's what I know about spiritual weight loss, is when I can let go of it, it frees us up. It lightens us up. You've heard, I don't know about you, but I've been told many, many times in my lifetime, lighten up. Just lighten up, Yvonne. What do you mean? I got things to do, people to go see, and oh yeah, I'm important. Lighten up. I think that's rule number 6 is don't take yourself so seriously. Yeah. And we want to do this so that we can be who we really are, so we can be our authentic selves. Gosh, I wish I hadn't waited to this age to realize I could be my authentic self, because I told everyone all my life, I'm 5'9". When we'd take family pictures, I would be the one that looked really strained and stressed because I was on my tiptoes with my chin up. You know what? I thought I was fooling everyone. My whole family knew I wasn't 5'9". Funny how we fool ourselves and how we think what we're doing is so important to be a reflection of who we want to be. 5'9"? I'm only 5'8", actually. Oh, my goodness. So forgiveness means a reconciliation in spite of. In spite of. So let's reconcile in spite of the estrangement we had. It means reunion despite hostility. Ooh, can you imagine if we were a planet of people who readily defaulted to forgiveness? Someone's been hostile to us. Let's bring them into union again, union in our hearts. Because once they're in union with our heart, they're in union with our mind. We can move it from the heart to the mind. Sometimes it's a little harder to go from the mind to the heart, right? That would be a yes. Yeah, so we want to be able to really value the power of forgiveness. And it means also acceptance of those who've been unacceptable. Acceptance of those who have been unacceptable. Big one. Again, in the heart. You don't have to go out there and do something, but you will be something different when you find acceptance for the unacceptable in your heart. You're not accepting the unacceptable behavior, but you're accepting the soul, that person, that God person. And it means a reception, an opening, a bringing in of those who've been rejected. Now, honestly, those flights were rejected by the United States. I mean, it was a no-fly zone on 9/11. So you could say they were rejected. But they were accepted into Newfoundland, right? So it doesn't mean it has to be wrong, whoever has not been in our space before. It just means we have to be open to accepting. And then we want to look at who we've left out. Look at who we've left out. Because we leave people out for the darndest reasons. We leave them out, and we leave them out because we don't like them. We leave them out because we don't know them. But we also leave them out, and this is the big one that just tears at my heart, because we don't see them. Let's take a breath on that. And maybe one of our intentions this week is to see everyone who comes in front of us. Like we tell our children, I see you, who you really are, made in the image and likeness of God. I see you. Sometimes we even deliberately turn our faces away so we don't see someone. That's rejection. open the space in the heart and forgive ourselves for the past mistakes we have made. The 42 times I rejected that person, I'll forgive myself for when I can open my heart and no longer reject. And that's what I believe it meant when in the Bible, where it tells us that, in the Lord's Prayer, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. I really don't think God is waiting for me to make amends. But what I do know, because gosh, he would have waited 9 years on that one issue. What I do know is that if God can only be to us as much as God can be through us, that means whatever we're accepting, believing, and experiencing as our God self, then I know that I do have to make those amends. I do have to forgive in order to be forgiven, because it's all part of cause and effect. It's not like God is saying, oh, someplace out here, because God is everywhere present, Yvonne, you're not going to be forgiven until you do X, Y, and Z. Not at all. But I won't know, I won't feel, and I won't be the grace I want to be until I forgive, whether it's myself and others or whatever it's about, because then I'll be free, and then I'll know that I live in the kingdom of God, which is within us. That's what it's all about, living in the kingdom. But it's not just living in the kingdom, it's knowing that's where we're at. We have to know that. And who puts us there? We do. Who takes us out of our feeling it, knowing it, experiencing it, and counting on it? We do. We do. No one else does. Martin Luther King talked about the beloved community in one of his talks, and it's best described what he was talking about in this one quote I want to use of his. He said, "We are tied together in the single garment of destiny, caught in an inescapable network of mutuality." His assumption, I believe, was that we are all connected and that we're all part of the one, and that we better be doing this together by recognizing that we can do it together. We can do it together. We are doing it together. We have been doing it together. Those who came before us and those who will be here after us. We're doing this together. But let's do it from the highest place that we can possibly imagine, and that can change every single day. It's like using Legos. And you keep building and you keep adding. And what happens when you're doing that with Legos? Here's what happens to me. Oh, I get a greater idea of what it could be. And then I want some more. It's like the some more is our faith. Not the some more as you cook. Some more faith. Use some more faith. Some more trust. As you keep building that Lego, that whatever you're building, to move into that space of that expanded consciousness. We are not limited by what we have thought in the past. We are not limited by what we've believed in the past. We are only limited by what we believe that we have to believe. If we open ourselves up and say, the Christ in me is absolutely free to be all that I can be in grace and glory and goodness and compassion and love and beauty and creative expression. And if I believe that about me, I'm going to believe it about every single one of you, because there's no separation. There's only oneness. Now, if I believe that about every single one of you, and every one of us grab that idea, where is room for judgment and leaving out and separating and condemnation and all of that? Well, it'll find it, because it's here. It's back here. It's part of our human experience. But we will be the ones to say, move back. I'm here as my glorious God self. I'm here as the self-divine. And I'm here to act like it, to think like it, and to be it. And I'm not going to hold myself back any longer. If there's anything you want to take out into this week, make a covenant with yourself. I will not hold back my divine self, my self-divine, any longer. Put it in your own words, but give yourself permission to be who you are, the way you are, because you're needed, you're precious, you're beautiful. You're part of that tapestry of life that only you can fill that puzzle, that piece in. It's like the pieces in the puzzle. Man, I'm telling you, my mother used to do these big puzzles on her card table. That's what she called it, on her card table. And I'd come through the door and she'd say, nope, don't come near it. But I couldn't stand it. I'd go when she was doing something else. I'd try and shove those pieces in, pound them down. Yeah. I did a lot of life like that, but we don't have to anymore because we are the perfect puzzle piece for that perfect place that we choose to be the expression of God that we are. We are the perfect fit. We're it. And then we just get to be out there in our magnificence as long as we choose to do that. So I want to use a quote of Joel Goldsmith's. I love this. Well, first of all, I want to say to live our espoused values and principles of oneness, we must transcend the illusions that we've carried. We must transcend the illusions of separation that we've carried. We must do that in order to live our fullest life. And Joel Goldsmith said, all that anyone possesses is the unfoldment of their own state of consciousness. All that anyone possesses is the unfoldment of their own state of consciousness. And we can have much more as we desire by enlarging the boundaries of our understanding and realization. We enlarge these boundaries by spiritual weight loss. We enlarge these boundaries by declarations of good, by saying, this is my purpose and this is what I'm going to do. Not next week, not next month, in this moment. I'm going to be present to that person I meet on the street in this moment. I'm going to be present to what it is that I want to contribute at this moment. And then we go from there. That's how we build. That's how we build the consciousness. We are the expression of beauty and wholeness that only God could create. So let us move into that place of prayer. And that's what prayer is. Prayer is recognizing. Prayer is not beseeching, but prayer is recognizing the one power, the one life. And so as you're sitting right there, just relax in your chair, please. We've had a good time together. I've had a good time with you all. But I want to affirm that one life. There's one life. That life is God. There's one purpose and one action, the action of God. And one purpose for us to be our God selves. And for us to help each other along the way. Just as those people in those communities in Newfoundland helped those 10,500 passengers and crew members that came into their small communities. They opened their hearts, they opened their homes, they opened their schools, they opened their communities because they transcended this horrible experience that brought all these people to their community. And we do that too. We are in that energy of transcending that which is not of the highest, that which is not God, that which is not God's good. And what is God's good? That's our good. And what is God? God is, all of creation is a part of God, and we are part of that. So we are here to be the blessing in action, in thought, with our words, in presence. So may we move this week on the wings of kindness. May we rest in the gentleness of forgiveness. May our breath be the breath of compassion. And may we solidly stand in faith and trust and joy. We are blessed and we are the blessing. And together we say, and so it is.
I am not the things my family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light. I am light. Mistakes that I have made, all the things that cause me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am I am gravity defined. I am
am light.
I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. I am light, I am
And that's true, isn't it? Each one of us is light. And when we let our light shine, we often help ignite the light in someone else who is having a little bit of difficulty letting their light shine. So thank you so much. So we have come to that place in our service where we get to put into practice the law of circulation. So there's a basket in the back here in the center for tithes or gifts or offerings. And if you are online, you can go to our website, www.cslkalispell.com, and there's a donate button there as well. So at this time, I would like to ask you to take your offering not only in your hand, but in your heart, and then join me in this prayer of spiritual giving and receiving. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied and abundantly. And so it is. So I have a few announcements for you. We did Feeding the Flathead on Monday, and we served 49. I went to their Feeding the Flathead meeting yesterday, and they're actually going to be expanding their service into Whitefish and at some point probably Columbia Falls. And so that was really powerful for me. We have meditation online every Wednesday night from 7:30 to 8, and there's information on the Zoom link if you haven't received it in your email. Next Sunday following service, we'll have a potluck, so we want you to join us for fun, for food, and for friends and community. Dances of Universal Peace, the 22nd? That's 2 weeks? Yeah, that's 2 weeks. And it will be here or in the park? In the park, weather permitting. Okay, so we'd like to ask you to like us on Facebook, to follow us on Facebook, to share us, so that we can shine our light more fully into the community. So I want to thank all of you who have joined us online today. We appreciate your continued support. We hope you come back again, and we love you.